I was reflecting on the idea of community, and I think there's something to be said, and there's a connection to the whole point of this podcast, which is about work and home and how do you integrate the two. If you think about 100 years ago, you worked closer to home, you depended on your neighbors a lot more, and you had to know who they were, and you had to be kind of on their good side because you needed each other a lot more. And I actually think that that's going to come back in a big way.
Welcome to the Stay at Work Home. We are here to question the prevailing assumptions about the meaning of life, work, and the purpose of people. Instead of being torn apart by our vocations, we want to be pulled together. Come along with us as we change our picture of the good life and pursue the home as God intended, one that worships through work together. All right, guys, this is a special episode. Haven't done this before. I've got David and Carrie Frazier here, and I want to show them something that a good friend of mine who is a fan of the pod, and he's a fan of Bunkie Life. He actually has a Bunkie Life kit or two, and I want to show David and Carrie what he's done with it. Now, I'll preface this with, this is my friend Steve. I have known Steve for over 20 years. We were in the Army together. We were in Iraq together. We were in Germany together, and we're best buds. He is one of the most thorough and productive people that I know. He works for a home builder not too far from Nashville, and he may be prone to overthinking. So I want to show you, I'm going to share the screen here, what my buddy Steve has done to prepare to build a bunkie. Steve was, well, we'll go into that in a minute. Here we go. Okay, so here's the pictures. We're going to start off with pictures. This is not very exciting, but you see it?
It looks like drawings of some sort. It's a little bit small.
Yeah. Okay. So we got some drawings. Basically, this is a deck that he wants to attach to trees. He wants to have a legit treehouse platform. Whoa. Or maybe one of those is going to be a pole, but two of them are trees, something like that. Yep. Okay, so he first had the first drawing, and now he's got this next drawing, and he's clearly got some mathematical stuff going on there. And then, now we've got a little more detail. We've got how this deck's going to be attached to these trees, where the anchors are going into the trees, where north and south are. And then up here in this top left corner, I'm not sure why we need 66 degrees east northeast and 46 degrees and yada, 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 but he thought that was necessary. Okay, so in this piece, we have the dimensions of the kits themselves. This is a Haven Ultra and a bathroom bunkie.
It's like it's a paper overlaid and he's like moving around.
Yeah, I was going to say pieces that can move. Yeah.
Smart.
And then he's got the roof of what the roof's actually going to take up. So he can move that around.
Oh, smart.
Okay, so this is all good. Like everybody that builds a bunkie, this is kind of recommended. You should probably do this.
Everybody does this with their furniture, right? They they draw the square and then they move the furniture around.
Yeah,
exactly. So this is still in the realm of normalcy. I think this is responsible.
Yeah,
it's good. And I should have doggone it. I didn't flip this over, but then he came up with this idea. He drew the thing, and he's going to add this other roof on top. He wants to do. We're not going to talk about what engineers might think about that, because they probably say no way. But he has this idea of putting them together like that. And then we see how he's actually going to do it in the picture here. He's got some other paper cutouts where he combined the roof line and then just drew the layout inside that. And then he built it.
Oh my!
Whoa!
How did he do that?
Okay, so this is like sticks of balsa wood and popsicle sticks.
We had someone
to scale, Carrie.
I was just say to scale too. It's like that's epic. You need to turn that into your nativity scene at Christmas
with the baby Jesus in there.
That's awesome. Each of those popsicle sticks is notched.
Oh, I want one.
Isn't that amazing? Okay, so here's another just a view of it. That's cool. But that still wasn't enough for Steve.
Oh gosh.
He wanted to see what it was going to look like and how it was going to play out on the actual slope of the mountaintop on which he wants to build this thing. And then he put the stuff up there for his like extra super roof that he wants to build that connects the two.
That is epic. Oh my gosh.
So is that a sloped like piece of insulation, or what is that red thing?
I think it's like what you would see like a yard sale sign or a realtor sign made out of. It's like it's like corrugated plastic, like cardboard but plastic.
Yep.
That is so wicked.
Okay, now is cool or is kind of like extra is because at this point you're like, okay, Steve, why didn't you just build the bunkie? Because that would have been way easier. Really into crafting.
That's man crafting, Steve.
This seems a little extra, but you haven't seen anything yet because this is what everybody sees. The thing you don't see in this picture is this.
Is that his
he
floor
built
joists?
The entire foundation with the floor joists to scale.
Wow.
How and why? That is sick. I mean, you got the angles there. Like, it's pretty in-depth angles.
This is the top of the Haven Ultra inside.
Oh, wow.
It's got the cutout for the stairs. He's got them in the back, and he's even got the handrail.
Wow.
This is like, does he want to sell this?
I want to buy this.
Can we buy this?
I don't know. I don't know if he would sell it to you or not.
Does he want to make a second?
He should. He should. That's all I can say. I mean, he should.
Does this little mini bunkie setup, is it now in one of the bunkies? Like, is it like a bunkie within a bunkie, like a Russian cat nesting doll scenario right now?
Okay, so this is the crazy part. When I first got my Haven Ultra kit and my bunkie bathroom kit 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago come June. Steve's kits were on it. Same kits. Yeah. He got a Haven Ultra and a bathroom kit. He hasn't built his.
This guy's been building that.
I mean, yeah.
He's still preparing.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe that, David, me and you need to have like a man-to-man, heart-to-heart intervention with Steve.
Yeah. Okay,
and we just need to talk him.
So I married a Steve. I married a Steve. I married into a family of Steves, people that are preparing, right? And then maybe I'm a little on the other end of the extreme, which is like, I don't know, I show up without pants on, we'll figure it out. And so I think there's a middle ground here, Steve, where you build your amazing models, but you also build your actual bunkie to enjoy. I think that's the middle ground you need to strive for here, Steve.
I thought Carrie would very much appreciate this because of all the reasons you just said. Because David, like myself, is a little bit ready, fire, aim. And Carrie and Steve could probably spend the rest of their lives aiming.
Yeah. Totally.
So we're going to finish this up, and we're probably going to stitch a couple of videos together, and me and David need to talk to Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give Steve a call. We'll have an intervention. We'll, yeah, I mean, that is incredible depth, incredible precision.
I hope that has like a place of prominence inside of his bunkie kit when it's done. That is like beautiful.
Cased in bulletproof glass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stay at Work Home. I am Keith, and that is David and Steve. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
And good morning, Steve. I don't know if that's exactly the way you're supposed to introduce people. I've never done it before like this. Only had one person before. So you'll remember David Frazier, founder of Bunkie Life, all-around great guy, is with us again. And we've also got my best buddy, Steve, whom I have known for 22 and a half-ish, something like that, years since we met in the Army in Germany. And we went to Iraq together for 15 months. We lived in Germany for a while. And then we parted ways, but we just never could quite let go. Could we, Steve? Now, Steve, in a previous episode, you may know that we talked about you, and we made fun of you a little bit because Steve turned out to be just a little bit super extra, and so I'm going to roll some tape from that episode, so you can see David and his wife Carrie, who design and build these bunkie kits, reacting to what Steve has done in the meantime while he thinks about building his bunkie kit that he spent many thousands of dollars on. Back that up. Let me back before I make you respond to that. I want to reintroduce Steve as the guy also who does everything a little bit better than me. Okay, whether it is racing go-karts, building stuff, maintaining stuff, I don't know, loving his family, just being a generally good guy. Steve does everything, tornado chasing, a little bit better than me. And he builds model bunkies a lot better than me. Okay, so Steve, what is going on?
Well, I bought a bunkie kit roughly 2 years ago now, and I've done about nothing. Lots of planning, lots of preparation, and I've had little things along the way that have postponed everything a little bit at a time. Our plans on how we were building it, where we were building it, have changed so many times I couldn't count. Originally, my game plan was to build this on the top of my mountain on my 40 acres of property that was 500 feet of elevation change over about a eighth of a mile. So it's a pretty steep terrain. And now the current plan is to build it closer down by the house, more on the semi-farmable area of the property. A couple of days ago, I just went and got my extension kit for the Ultra Haven. And we will soon see what happens.
Okay. By the way, I just changed my microphone. Hopefully I sound way better now. Do I sound better? Yeah. Now I sound good like David. David, how many people have been like this that you know of? Like they're buying bunkies. Like what's the percentage?
Well, there is a bit of sometimes people get the bunkie and then we find out 3 years later, oh yeah, I'm still thinking about build. I mean, and I'm one of them. So I'll just be clear. Like I had a bunkie in my backyard. I still have a bunkie on my driveway that I need to build. So, this is not coming from a place of like a guru up on a mountaintop, sending down wise messages. I've been there myself, mostly because I just didn't have time to build them. It wasn't so much I was trying to get it perfect. But it is a daunting big thing. It can feel like that, especially if you haven't done it yet. However, what I've found the people that have the most success are the non-engineers. I find the engineers will sit there and they will critique every 15th page of the manual. They'll write in about like very minor things, like weeks and weeks ahead of even getting the bunkie. And then they'll spend about 4 times as long building it. Whereas it's designed, at least the bunkie life bunkies are designed so the average Joe or Josephine can put it together with their friends and family. That's the design of them. And so I find that, yeah, there's a fraction of people, most of them are engineers, that just overthink it. Or you just, life happens, you get busy and you can't get to building it. Those two categories are not super common, but I do hear about them.
Yeah. And something happened. I mean, I think I was here. I'm still drinking my coffee, guys. So if I'm like not all here, it may have something to do with it. I just woke up, probably like you guys. Hey, there you go, Steve. What kind of coffee are you drinking? By the way?
Unfortunately, it's, I believe, Folgers. Yeah.
Better than Starbucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I am, of course, drinking Panther's Rest coffee.
Yeah. I wish I had yours.
Are you drinking water, David?
I'm drinking water. Yeah.
Ever since I saw that video where you put your head in the ice water, I mean, you say you don't know who that guy was, and you were just doing what Braden came up with, but I don't know. So so Steve mentioned the climb up there, the super steep road. Did you mention what happened to that road earlier?
No, I did not. So, I mean, as you kind of mentioned before as well, David, obviously there's a lot of other projects that I've got going on here at the house. We bought our home about 2 years ago, right around the time that we bought the kit. And the original structure of my home is over 100 years old. So, me being the semi-builder that I am, I'm constantly doing stuff here. But the roadway, if we can call it that, going up my mountain was a logging trail that was probably not logged in the last 80 years. So we had to work our way up the mountain a little bit at a time through some semi-sheer cliffs, and put stone and all sorts of other things down so that we could actually create a trail, which, other than my tractor, the only thing we could get up there was a old Jeep in four-wheel low. So that gives you a little perspective. But then we had a massive rainstorm, I guess, around this time last year that completely washed out all the hard work that we did. So that's a new engineering task that has been undergoing.
Yeah, it's like a real kick in the gut because that was a ton of work. Yeah. I mean, the amount of concrete bags you had on that road, like retaining dirt and rock to have a road, and it's gone.
Which to my surprise, all of the concrete bags that I put down, I did them as a dry pour, just to make like little retaining walls to hold the rock in place. They actually stayed in place. So that's actually good.
Okay. Well, something went right. So what's the next stage? Like, do you have a plan going forward?
I do. So, I am going to be building the kit. It will be happening this summer. You can hold me to that.
We will.
And it's going to be happening down more towards the house where I actually have access to do everything. Exactly how far I'm going to go with the bunkie, I'm not quite sure yet. As far as power and water and all that kind of stuff is concerned, I really don't know. But quite frankly, I'm just going to put it into place first and then figure out the rest after the fact.
Yeah. So the one we did in North Carolina, I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. They had like a professional building crew do a cinder block skirt foundation, if that makes sense. You know, like you build up a square of cinder blocks, and then they put the like 2x10s wood foundation on top of that. And that was ready for us when we showed up. So it was like, bam, let's go. Which was great. Insurance companies like that. They don't like to be open underneath because that allows air to just swoop in and I guess it's a fire thing. So a crawl space needs to be basically sealed with only so much venting.
Yeah. Sure.
And the great thing about that is you can totally build it. And as long as you even if you don't actually put in sweeps, you could put them in later for it's like pipes for your water and your electric to go through underneath. Right. It's there underneath the foundation, and you can put those in later, and you've got the space underneath there to go, run your wires and your pipes however you want. So throwing that out there, I think as we're moving forward, hopefully in the next few months with building some more in some different places, because, and this will get maybe to a philosophical, familial, all of life kind of thing. With David here in a sec, we're looking at trying to snatch up some land in counties that don't have any zoning or code. And David already, David already mapped out quite a few of those for us using the power of AI. And it's so far that I've gone into those counties and researched. It's true. These he nailed it. These are places where you can just build stuff like free Americans, not like these other places in America where you can't. Yeah. And the reason that we want to do it, well, because we like building these things over and over again, and it's fun. But they also print money, and we've talked, like me and David and Carrie and Becky talked about sort of the entrepreneurial stuff last time they were on. But the first step, I think, to having that kind of freedom to where you really can do whatever you want is figuring out how something that prints money while you're sleeping or while you're doing other things that aren't necessarily producing right now. And for us, that's been short-term rentals. So Steve's setting one up, and I don't know. He doesn't live in a place that's free. Exactly. It's kind of free, maybe. We do. David, did you ever do that though? I mean, was there a stage at which like you had the money printing going on that allowed you to go do something else? I mean, because you were so entrepreneurial so fast that maybe you skipped that stage.
No, I mean, definitely so the first step of that was we've always rented out our basement anywhere we've lived up until relatively recently. We've always we always rented our basement. In fact, when we first had a house, the one we built next to our house, we first had our own house. The kids would run around and I'd go, "Oh, stop!" Because like we're so used to having a neighbor underneath us, trying not to bug it. It feels weird to like let the kids stomp on the floor. So that's been our entire time we've been married. So that was kind of like the first bit of like, quote unquote passive income. There isn't really actually passive income, but like relatively low input income, we'll say. And then when I built the bunkies in 2015, the first couple of bunkies, that actually cash flowed us to the point where we kind of paid most of our basic bills just with the rental income from the basement plus the 3 bunkies. And that was kind of the first taste of like, oh, like, wow, we could if I grew that a little bit, we could be completely like off the grid in terms of finances. So yeah, that was kind of the thought process there.
Yeah. So,
and then from that freedom, I was able to take entrepreneurial leaps, like starting selling bunkies and other things that failed.
But something that didn't fail. And some of the other things that did fail actually failed because of COVID or the reaction.
Yeah, the wedding business. Yeah, and then I also had a very brief stint as a piano teacher that I realized pretty quickly was not going to scale very well. So
I think that's the first time I'm hearing about your piano teaching.
Yeah, it was very brief. I had like maybe 12 students. I was teaching in groups, so I did make a good amount of money per hour. But yeah, it wasn't a long thing. But I learned how to do direct mail to my neighborhood. I mailed out little postcards and stuff, so that was kind of a good skill to learn.
Yeah, that's huge. And having 12 students is probably far in excess of what most people that start teaching pianos ever get. So yeah. So Steve would have the ability, in my estimation, to start any number of businesses and be successful at it. His wife also has a job, so I mean that's kind of like printing money. I never thought about that way. Like just put your wife to work, and then it's basically your money printing operation. David's kind of done that, but it's really late to the game. Like the machine was rolling when she just jumped in it. But it really starts with using what you have, right? There's a couple that we talked to last week who are kind of interested in bunkies, interested in what we're doing with them, with short-term rentals. They've got acreage, but the only access to their acreage they would put one on goes by their house. They would come in the same, people that were renting would have to come in the same driveway and like go past the house to get to the back 40 where the bunkie would be.
Yeah, that's a similar situation that I'm in.
Yeah. Are you going to get over that, or is that just going to be the hump that you never cross?
Well, when you say get over it, what do you mean?
I mean, just do it anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that won't be a hindrance. It's more of an issue of because my original question when buying the first bunkie is all about how many of these am I going to put on the 40 acres, and is there a potential of an Airbnb type situation like I know you have going on? And the biggest downside to doing that and to doing multiple up my mountain would simply be that the only way in and out is directly behind my house within a matter of 15 feet, having to drive behind my house in order to then sweep up and go up to my mountain. And I'm literally landlocked but I have an access point just in through somebody else's property to get into my property. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because your house is visible
everything
from the road.
On the
I didn't realize it
of
was an
that
easement, or I forgot.
is mine. Everything on the road side of that stream is technically the other parcels of land. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that does bring them really close to your house. Yeah, I could see it being a problem. But I do see it as like something that's totally common. Like people who succeed at this kind of stuff, at least people that get going pretty quick,
right,
are people that are willing to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable, a little off. There's actually some people staying in the newest, the barn bunkie, the Hideaway 199 full loft.
Yeah.
That we just put a front porch on. It looks awesome, by the way. And they love the front porch. That was the first thing. Like we got messages the other night where it was like, we've already been enjoying the front porch and the rocking chairs. So that was cool. But I ran into them, not literally, only metaphorically, in the driveway, and they have already they've been Airbnb hosts themselves. They're not right now because they moved out of that house, but I guess it was some kind of an apartment that they had made with an extra entry point where people could get in to their house. But like using what you have, like the willingness and the sort of leaning forward in monetizing what you already own is huge. Yeah. What could you monetize that you already own, Steve? Besides your children?
I mean, that's a big one. You know, I mean, labor is needed. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. That's something I would love your input on.
I would say your Jeep.
I mean,
put it on Toro and see what happens.
Jeeps have a tendency to break pretty easily.
Yeah, you can fix them. Really, you're a mechanic. You're like an ASC master mechanic, and you're worried about a Jeep breaking.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, like, actually, that's a business idea that I've thought of. So, like, the area we live in, there's this wine. It's wine trail. There's nothing out here. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere, but there are like over a dozen vineyards, wineries in the county, and so. Actually, the I don't know what the population does. It might double on the weekends when people come out here on Fridays and Saturdays, and they leave on Sunday. But it opens up the opportunity. The back roads around here that people access the wineries by are just really bad roads, and you bend wheels and stuff all the time, and potholes and whatnot, and so I thought of getting a bunch of old Jeeps, like 1947, CJ3s or whatever, CJ2, CJ3. You can get them in very good condition for under $15,000. I saw a couple of good deals for like below $10,000 in very good condition, overhauled engines or whatever. And there's not much to replace. Like you could just replace the entire electrical system, like right up front, so that you don't have any problems with that.
All three wires.
Three wires. Yeah, exactly. The carburetor. Things that would go bad, and then you're hopefully not going to run into any issues unless they run into issues with the Jeep, like literally, non-metaphorically run into something.
Sure.
But I would call it Wine Trail Willies, and I would have a website, and I would push it on social media where I could actually boost it, do some advertising, and maybe on Google as well. But there's I can't remember the name of the company, but it's like Toro, but it's specifically for classic vehicles. And so you could have your website and you could advertise like in each individual vehicle, but you could have a button where you click that. It just takes you to your Turo link or this other website, this other app. And those guys take care of all the insurance and things like that make it legit and legal.
Nice. Okay.
So I would think about doing that with your Jeep. Just like, hey, it's a Jeep. Like, get it in good condition. Replace all the crap that's going to normally break. Put new belts and hoses and a water pump on it and an alternator and stuff that you're really good at that you could do in like 30 minutes, maybe. I don't know. David, have you ever
I might need to invest in a automotive lift.
Yeah, that would probably be good too. David, have you ever monetized anything that was just like it was weird? It was non-conventional. Then you already had it. You didn't have to buy it.
It's a great question. I mean, I guess at the time, renting out a random shed in your backyard was pretty weird in 2015. It's less weird now. But the bathroom was literally a hunting tent with like a RV, not even composting toilet, just like a $200 RV toilet in the back of the tent. So that was definitely weird. I had to empty it myself.
We did that. We had a Nature's Head composting toilet.
Yeah, but that's like a good toilet. That's like an actual composting toilet. I'm talking about like just like I can basically bucket, a glorified bucket with some blue water in it.
Bucket. Sawdust.
Yes. Actually, that brings up a point. So, like, Steve's got this mountaintop. I have yet to go up to the top of it, but I've seen the pictures. I've gone part of the way up the top of it to the point where this was after the flood, the point where the Jeep could no longer continue forward. We tried, and I was amazed about the boulders it did go over. But he's got that mountaintop up there, and it could be like hikeable only.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna walk up there. I've got a friend. Or I got a friend whose kid up in Michigan just got like a $200 Walmart tent, like a nice tent from Walmart.
Yep.
And did glamping that way. Like I could see Steve, you just throwing that on hip camp.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's on the top of the mountain, so it can't blow away. You have to anchor it really good and stuff, but that's a possibility.
Yeah. I would say so.
Camp spots. Pretty cheap. Could you do it legally?
I don't believe I'd have any kind of problem with that. I mean, that was a part of the reason why I came up with the idea of the treehouse build, because from everything that I was looking up, there were no codes and regulations on tree houses. It didn't matter the size. There was a really big, well-known tree house here in Crossville, Tennessee, and it burned down, unfortunately. I think it was arsonists that did it. But for years, the only way the government could, or the state come in and shut it down was as a fire code violation. But when I say it was massive, I mean it was like 7 stories high, absolutely incredible. I'm sure anybody can look it up, but yeah, that was the way that the guy who built it was able to get away with it. Was a tree house. So
does it have to be suspended by trees, like literally, or can it be figuratively a tree house that's actually on poles? Which, by the way, those poles are made of trees.
Right. That's kind of the thing. So the quick answer that I found with that is no-ish. It has to be anchored to a tree, I believe.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it has to be a support structure.
It's like a rope,
if it's coming up
tie it to the tree?
Through your deck, if there's something coming up through a deck or just off to the side, that I believe that counts. So
I would try it with a rope. Just tie the bunkie to a tree.
Yeah,
the treehouse now. Okay, so I got these pictures, and I kind of want to brag on Steve's detail here. He may be slightly autistic, but the results.
I was just having fun with it, Keith. It really was not. It was no longer a point of the concept or the structure that I was contemplating needing to do this for. It was just fun.
You could have. I don't know. Let's look at it. Here it comes. So last time we saw what it was. Like it was pretty epic. Like it was like wow-inducing level of detail. Notching every one of those stinking popsicle sticks to make them go together, like that right there alone, just like my ADD kid brain is like, no, can't do it. But this is what we have now. Can you see it, David?
Yep. It's pretty elaborate.
So this is the idea here. You go to Haven Ultra and a bathroom bunkie, and they're kind of connected with this roof on top of this deck. And this there's the spot on the mountain. I should have brought those pictures up, but maybe I can get them later. It's stained now. and it's got some Lego heroes out there just making it happen. This is insane. So you put it in a. How did you get the idea to put it in a pot?
Well, that was kind of my plan the whole way along, so that I could actually create the same slope of elevation that I have up on my mountain. That was kind of my reasoning for doing it. The green that you see there in that picture is me simulating insulation. Funny enough, I used one of those nail salon flip flops that they give you, like the temporary flip flops for that my daughter came home with.
Yes.
Resourcing used materials, always good.
Love it.
And the way I actually wanted to do the roof truss design for that, from the bathroom bunkie to the Haven Ultra, was to actually run the basically the 2x6s, what I was realizing I was going to use, across the top of the bathroom bunkie and just connect them straight into with a joist hanger into the side of the Haven Ultra, and then to run the joists down from the Haven Ultra down and just connecting it directly to that other roof truss, basically.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like sound engineering, but it looks really cool. And I generally trust you not build anything that's going to fall over.
Right. The way that I actually did it, or isn't quite exactly the way I would do it in real life, but it would be legitimately sound. The original picture I know you had with basically it just tying into one another and going nowhere was me before I kind of figured out how I was going to do it. That was why I just kind of dead-ended it where I did. But and then that picture there kind of shows the cross member that I had to put into place. The video that I did actually shows how that all goes together.
Okay.
But I actually had to notch that kind of like you would like an old Amish barn build kind of thing.
That is epic. So let me I don't know if the video will play or not. Let me see. Okay, yeah, it does. I don't know if you can see it playing.
Yeah, there's no sound on this, so feel free to talk over it. But yeah, I just wanted to show the original structure as it is without anything really connected. You can kind of see that I've already got the internal flooring of the bunkie on the
insulation
top of the deck that's stained the way
You've got the insulation under the floor.
No, not that. That was not supposed to be the insulation. The insulation I would probably put underneath it, but that would be like the flooring.
Okay, this is good.
That's crazy.
Can I make this a reel? Can I cut this and make this a reel? And we can put it on both our
absolutely
the main Bunkie Life socials and mine too.
Yeah, that's it.
Because I can cut.
And there should be like a caption that says when an engineer gets to planning their bunkie.
I'm telling you, dude. This might go viral. This might be the 30 million view thing we're looking for. Holy cow! Look at this. You got the light in there. That's a nice detail.
Yeah, I thought that. So last time, touch. If I had one small enough to put into the bathroom, I would have put one there.
So last time Steve was here, we like in my bathroom, we've had a leaky faucet for years.
Oh my goodness!
Did we ever do anything like was that the only time we don't? I know I tried to deal with it at some point. I just quit every time I got into it.
No, we've done. Yeah, we had to deal with some kind of a water leaking situation at least.
There's usually something leaking
since I've been
at any one given time at my 50-year-old house.
Yes,
and
basically.
But we spent I think about 4 hours changing a faucet because it was dealing with like old copper plumbing and the stuff that was corroded together in such a way that you just couldn't get rid of it without it being really painful. Okay, so Steve is finishing up the masterpiece here. That is the what do you call it? You have a name for it? I mean,
no,
it's the Steve
actually,
bunkie.
I do not. That's not a bad idea to come up with one, though.
It's a little off there, Steve. It's not straight up and down.
It's not what?
David caught what I was doing there. I mean, it's true. It's just a little off. Like the top. See how the top is not quite lined up? Well, you can't tell from the front. From the front, it looks perfect.
Yeah, when I was putting it together, it didn't. You can kind of see where I had notched the top section that I was putting in. It didn't actually click into place, so the whole thing kind of was thrown off a little bit.
We're going to show that to the whole world.
Didn't realize it when I was doing the video,
and it's going to be a little bit off. 30 million people are going to look at it being just a little bit off. Yeah. And Carrie's going to see it being just a little bit off. And she's as extra as you are.
Oh my goodness. So the funny part of this whole thing is, for the last 2 days, I've been scrambling to get more done on it because I'm still not completely done with this thing.
Just to be clear, we're talking about the model, not the actual bunkie, right? We're talking about the model.
We're talking about the model, not the actual, real life thing. I wanted to make the roof line, or the actual roof itself, I wanted to spray that green like the metal roofing would be that I'm putting on, but oh well.
That's awesome. Well,
maybe another 6 months from now.
I want to wrap it up. There's something that obviously the Steve is the first person I think that maybe listens to every single episode of this podcast. I think this will be something like 35. And I think he gets the entire thing. Like it hit. Yeah. I think David's listened to a lot now too. At least he tells me he does. And there's for Steve, I guess the big takeaway was sort of a community aspect or a relational aspect. Maybe Steve, if you want to talk about that, David, you can say something and then we'll say amen.
Sure. So something you actually said towards the beginning of the podcast about how, we knew each other in the military and then we kind of parted and went our separate ways, just because we were in totally different locations of the world and the country. And, over a series of like 10 years, when we finally caught back up together, so many of my friends, so many, I'm sure, of your friends and family, they all steered such a polar opposite direction of how we see biblical teaching and just the way that we're supposed to go about raising our family, what thriving actually looks like, what joy is. And when we came back together one time just to go kind of meet up on vacation, it was very clear that even though we had been apart for 10 years, we were steering in a very similar direction. Had come to a lot of similar conclusions, maybe not everything, but a lot of things. And, I think that's kind of why we're still so close in a lot of this stuff. It's just the way we see things. And, obviously, like you're saying, community, definitely not something that I was aware of growing up as a kid. I couldn't wait to leave and depart from my childhood community, so to speak. But then working at a Christian camp up in upstate New York really opened my eyes to what a community should look like. Here where we're at now, we've been attempting to create that community that we want to have, where we get to know our neighbors rather than just know that they're there but ignore them completely. But even so, it's a struggle unless you find others that are like-minded.
David, you guys are. You can. I don't want to say anything too much about your situation. You're too famous.
Yeah, and well, I just tag on what Steve said. I was reflecting on the idea of community, and I think there's something to be said, and there's a connection to the whole point of this podcast, which is about work and home and how do you integrate the two. And I think it also has to do with what Steve finished on, which is not just knowing your neighbors, right? Because like the modernity really pushes you into these little cubicles in a subdivision where you're physically quite close to your neighbors, but you don't know who they are in a lot of cases. And that's kind of that force of modernity. It's been happening for probably 100 years. So it's kind of the water that we were born into it, and we don't even know it's wet, what wet is. But if you think about 100 years ago, you were closer to home. You depended on your neighbors a lot more, and you had to know who they were, and you had to be kind of on their good side because you needed each other a lot more. And I actually think that that's going to come back in a big way, just because it's, like the Roadrunner cartoons where the Roadrunner runs off the cliff, but gravity doesn't affect him until he actually looks down.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of 2025 and really the last 50 years. We're suspended above a chasm that we haven't looked down yet as a society, but the realities of you can't print money to prosperity are about to hit us pretty big. And you can't live these separate, disconnected consumerist lives without really helping each other for that long before it starts to kind of catch up with you. And so I think that the natural inclination to want to connect with your neighbors has to do with work, has to do with dependency, and has to do with adding value to each other's lives. And if you don't have really all three of those, it does feel like a struggle to connect with your neighbors because it's like, it feels a little artificial. Like, the reason that you were probably best friends with your local neighbors, or sometimes mortal enemies, but one of the two, is that you needed each other. And so it was in everyone's best interest to help each other, but it's often an afterthought in modernity. So I think that we've hopefully reached peak modernity in that sense, that we've reached peak debt and all those type of things. I could be wrong. There could be another 20 years of this suspension above the chasm without looking down, but I don't think that's going to be true even in the next 5-10 years. So I think, like Steve said, if you can build that as best as you can and just find out legitimate ways where not only can you help your neighbor, but also ask your neighbor for help. I think that's a big part of it too. This podcast is yeah, it is. But there's something great about, like, you feel needed when you help your neighbor out, right? It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So not depriving your neighbor of that honor or
right.
Yeah. That's just those are the thoughts that came to mind while you were talking, and I don't know.
Sure. Thank you.
Dude, you just said like 10 different viral reels there. I'm gonna have to try to clip together. I think I can't end on a better note than that. That was awesome. Thank you guys for coming.
Take care, gentlemen.
This episode of the Stay at Work Home is brought to you by heartlandbunkies.com. Come check out our full line of small cabin kits that can be easily assembled by a few friends or family in just a weekend for extra space for meaningful connection, or extra income, or a home office, a homeschool room, or whatever.